maybe the first time, I'm not so sure, to present a journal paper. But some of you are kind of second-year students supposed to much more familiar with to read the paper. I'm not so sure because in general, when we're writing our master's thesis, it's better to read lots of the literature review. Why we need to read the others' papers? We need to know what's current the research process, what's the newly finding, and you can stimulate your research. But this time we only have 10 to 12 minutes. So how to well prepare the one paper? My suggestion would be first of all, at least let everyone know what's the research topic here, what's the research question here. So what kind of issue they want to study. And the second would be what's their research gap, what's their contribution, what's the new finding. And the third one maybe talk about a little bit more their results. Maybe you can, because if you have more time, you can talk about methodology, but if you have very limited time, maybe jump to the results. So try to analyze the results. Is that reasonable or not? You can first introduce their results, but later on you can plus your personal comments. So for example, they do some survey, they do some statistics, but you think this maybe not reasonable. Maybe you can pop out your viewpoints. I mean, so it's very similar to a literature review. Some of my previous students, they say they all agree that whatever paper they read. I say it's not a good researcher, because some papers, maybe they have their circumstance, they have their background, they have their limitations, so they reach this kind of results. But maybe not your own. I wish you can try to develop your own thinking. So please let everyone know what's your thinking after reading these papers. I think that's enough, because you only have 10 to 12 minutes. You introduce the entire background, entire research question, their contribution, their findings, their results, and plus your personal comments. I think that would be great. 10 to 12 minutes should be fine. And if this paper has lots of table figures, that would be great. You can try to spend more time to introduce each table, each figure, rather than give a lot of words. Okay? And my evaluation will be very similar to some of you joined my supply chain midterm presentation. So sometimes I will see your overall capability, but it's not a major part because I know some of the domestic students are not really good at English. But major part would be the slides and the contents. I will see how you will organize, because this you can prepare at home. I will see what kind of effort you put, how you read or understand these papers. Perhaps I will give you whatever question and see how you can answer clearly. Okay? So just 10 to 12 minutes, but please well utilize your limited time. And plus one February stone. The stone is not included in the 10 to 12 minutes. So you have one more minute to introduce your February stone. I will not limit it in your home country. If you are, for example, you like English song, it doesn't matter. Whatever song you want, you can share with each other. So that's hopefully we can have a happy presentation in 2 or 3 weeks. Okay. But next week we will start from our midterm exam. For some students who come with me to the conference, I will arrange to give you another time to make up the course, make up the exam. Perhaps I will give you another topic, another different question, different exam to make sure we have the fair evaluation process. All right, so any question or comments about the midterm exam and midterm presentation? So first of all, if you haven't started to find out your paper, please try your best to look for your papers. And at least you have 1 or 2 weeks to prepare that. I think that's enough. All right, so before go through our slides, I guess I may not have time to finish my slides, but doesn't matter. Let me finish some important things. First of all, I would like to talk about some statistics. So this one talk about the top 50 logistic company in North America. So any one of the guys who will be ranking number 1 or 2, top 3 in the United States, in the North America, the logistic company. DHL, FedEx, any others? UPS. Any others? Because everyone knows these three, right? Okay, let's see the results. I think you were surprisingly, but the story is quite different. Ranking number 1. No one guessed, 6 other guessed. XPO, one of our former students right now working in this company in Seattle. And I think it's very good company. UPS ranking number 2. DHL ranking number 3. But FedEx, I guess, here, 50. No, that's the American, but at least North American. Okay, so first guess, just let you know. Second guess. Top 15 logistic company in global. So we'll be ranking number top 3. The global. Anyone to keep guess? Or still we guess the FedEx, UPS, and DHL? Okay, let's see. Well, in the future, if you want to join the find a job opportunity, you will find still lots of famous company. They might not really well known, but they earn lots of money. So this list just let you know. Well, we have lots of the good working opportunity rather than FedEx, UPS, and DHL. Although two of my previous former good students right now working in DHL right now, but I still say still lots of good way to find out. All right, so FedEx ranking number 1 around the world. So they may not really good at North America, but still. UPS ranking number 2. Number 3, China Railway Company. So that's a global. Right now depends on. They have lots of evaluation method. So just let you know. Number 4 is related to maritime. Remember that the number 1 maritime ranking number 1 around the world, and their logistics company also ranking top 4. Very good. Okay, just want to let you know. All right, so before we talk about the session, I'd like to share something, but I will skip something. So these are previous news. Just if you are quite interested, you can try to see. For example, this news talk about Vietnam, how they try to find out their solution between the United States and mainland China. And I think this is very good news. I would like quickly spend 10 minutes to go through my slides. Then I will give you the following. All right, so I think like when we talk about the free trade zone here, we talk about the global supply chain management. Documentation is always very important. So these are main purpose, but not limited. Why we need to talk about the documentation. So in general, fulfill regulation, risk management, common understanding, record keeping, especially for the third one and the fourth one. When we do the supply chain, trade, and process, these 2 are very important. But right now we go through it electronically. And 4 types, major 4 types, but not limited. We have transportation, banking, commercial, government, lots of requirements. And several organizations talk about this, how to unify and make this documentation consistency. Basically, we have the treaty law, international agreements. We talk about free trade, FTA, versus local law. So when you see the previous video, like the India government mentioned, like they remove lots of local law because some local law will be conflict with the international agreement. So basically, all documents will work on this. So we could talk about that. And especially for the contracts, when we want to sign this document, contract is also very important. The contract will cover lots of things, what kind of offer, what kind of acceptance, major consideration issue, and legal capacity. In my Thursday courses before in the supply chain management, we talk about like different contract types. And lots of contract, except one. And here we call the mirror image rule. So I will give you like the one video to see what's the meaning of this mirror image rule. So you can see what's the kind of situation when we talk about contract, a little bit conflict, what will happen.
We will discuss the common law mirror image rule for contracts. The mirror image rule tells us that to have a contract, the acceptance must be on the same terms as the offer. If the acceptance has the same terms as the offer, then we can have a contract. Let's say a farmer offers to sell 1,000 red apples to a businessman, with delivery by truck to the businessman's city the next day by noon. That's the farmer's offer. And let's say the businessman says he agrees, and delivery is to be by train. The terms of the acceptance are not exactly the same as the terms of the offer. The farmer is offering delivery by truck, but the businessman is asking for delivery by train.
You see, like the basic the contract have to both sides and very detailed way make sure every detail is the same. This is some are the inconsistent level, maybe make the contract be loose level.
Mirror image rule tells us that the businessman rejected the farmer's offer, and that the businessman made a counteroffer for delivery of the apples by train. Now the farmer has a choice. He can choose not to deliver the apples because there is no contract. Or he can accept the counteroffer and he's obligated to ship 1,000 apples by train. The mirror image rule tells us that the acceptance has to be on the same terms as the offer. If the terms are not the same, we do not have a contract. Please remember, the UCC, the Uniform Commercial Code, has different rules, and we'll talk about that in a separate video.
So that's a very fundamental but basic to talk about the global operations. So that's why we talk about counteroffer. But basically, like why we need to fulfill a contract. Sometimes we will still cannot finish this contract. I list several reasons here. For example, like unable to implement. Sometimes like the purpose will be changed. Financial issues due to a changing environment, especially under COVID-19. Something like that. So general documentation process, we have several of them. I try to list 5 steps. Very simple, like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or the fulfillment. So in the future, if you find this job, they try to organize the whole supply chain and scheduling, everything delivery on time, export, shipping, import to final delivery. And for the documentation for the trade, we have lots of the documentation, especially export part. Bill of lading, I will spend some time for that, export declaration and commercial invoice. Invoice means like the receipt, especially for the custom part. Certification of origin. This is one reason India refused to join the RCEP, because they can set different tariff with different countries. So this is one major concern. Another like the consideration, especially for the fruit. Bill of lading is one important document when we do the global trade and global supply chain. We have lots of here, very similar to like the, if you take a flight to the foreign countries, when you landing, you have to fill out lots of the information. Very similar to that. I listed some of them, like what kind of port you loading your cargo, what kind of port you unloading your cargo, your ocean, and lots of information. The final 2 is mainly for the container ship. Only container ship need to file the final 2, container number and CO number. CO means that make sure your container is not stolen by somebody. And also these are the sample for the invoice and some like documents for the trade documentation. Another term we call abandonment is also very common in the global trade and documents here. Another short video to let you know what's these terms. Talk about that. I just play 3 minutes because I have a little bit.
Today we will discuss contract of bidding. There are 2 parties in the contract of bidding, bidder and bid. Let's hear a story to understand the meaning of these 3 words. A goes to his friend B and says, I need your car to drop my kids to school. My car is broken. B gives his car to A. This is a contract of bailment. You must be thinking how? Bailment is defined as delivery of goods, transfer of possession from one person to another for a specific purpose.
Not just for the goods. Other services also included by here, so that we call it tangible and intangible. Two different services, not just for the physical goods.
In our story, the possession of the car was transferred by B to A. The specific purpose here is dropping A's kids to school. Remember, B transferred the possession of the car and not the ownership. In our story, which is the contract of bailment, B is the bailer. The person who delivers the goods is the bailer. A is the bailee. It is important
In the future, if you it's true. Okay, in the future, if you do the international trade, you will some of you will listen the bailer and the bailee here. That's it. Yeah. Just one.
and in a contract of bailment that the goods are returned after the purpose is accomplished, or the goods can be disposed of as directed by the bailer. Now, when we have understood the meaning of bailer, bailee, and bailment, let me tell you some essential parts of contract of bailment. There are three important things: delivery of possession, delivery should be upon contract, delivery should be upon some purpose. One more important thing is that the delivery can be of two types: actual delivery or symbolic delivery. Let's look at examples of actual delivery and symbolic delivery. A and B are two classmates. A goes to B and says, "Can you please lend me a notebook so that I can prepare for the exam? I will return the notebook tomorrow." B gives the notebook to A. This is actual delivery. In our previous example, where B gave the car to A, he gave the keys of the car. That is symbolic delivery.
Okay, just want to
Now going-
stop here, but you can go back on to finish that. Just let you know like some specific terms. Some of my previous students, when they apply the job interview for some international trade company, they try to ask the very simple question: do you know the bailment? Do you know the bailer or something? This course just try to let you know like Incoterm or something, some fundamental keywords. In the future, if you want to real interview, I don't know why companies like to ask this kind of question, but some of my previous students, they do face this situation. Some interviewee try to ask them some keywords. The specific thing, like one of my students, like they give me like one list, 100 keywords. Try to see how many of you can answer. I don't know, just so I think this is a little bit tedious, but just want to let you know some fundamental and basic in this course. Okay, so we have a bill of lading, we have a way bill. Way bill is a little bit terms and talk about like the transportation. So three main functions here in the bill of lading. We talk about these three. It's kind of receive and contract. Right now we go through electronic. And sometimes in the supply chain under the contract, we will try to use the two different situations to do the finance. Number one, we call it cash in advance. Number two is cash on delivery. I guess some of you do the electronic shopping, we're facing this too. The cash in advance means like you order something online, you pay in advance. Cash on delivery is right now like you receive the, I don't know, package, you check everything, fine, then you pay for that. Which one is better for you? Okay, so cash on delivery, most of you are agree, I don't. Which means like these two depends on the risk. Risk sharing, risk shifting, like every country talk about this too. But sometimes we still need to do the cash in advance. Why? Especially for international trade. So right now, previous I give you like example like you do the shopping online, it's kind of B2C behavior, business to customer, and most of customer all agree like to do the cash on delivery. However, on international trade, most of the transaction rely on the cash in advance. Why? Can you give me some reasons? At least 4 major reasons. Try to see how many of you can guess. So, cash in advance, please.
set first,
Yeah, it's true actually to give you more guarantee.
and if cash in advance, the seller will get a lot of order and then must make full delivery.
Okay, very good. Number one, like at least like provide more. I don't know, more. Sometimes may not really cash in advance for a month, maybe 10%, 20% something, but make sure like it's not like the guarantee sound like the buyer are willing to show they are really want to buy this service or cargoes. What else? Why need to do a cash in advance? Other reasons except the first one, especially for international trade. I say during the international trade, what will happen? So that's why they need to do a cash in advance.
I think goods have to pass through several countries, or in some borders, so it might be customs.
You mean like go through lots of pass around lots of countries? So
Customs,
for custom and transportation fee?
yes.
Okay, good. So at least they have some cost to delivery, maybe. Okay, good. What else?
I think it's cash in advance avoids the risk of returning the goods or in some,
Okay, good.
yeah, there's a percentage of avoiding the goods.
Yes, true. To guarantee at least the transaction is useful and not returned very easily. Remember that international trade is unlike the B2C online shopping. So which means there may be a B2B business and huge amount, huge transaction value. And so what else?
Then when paying in advance, the producer or the seller doesn't need to use their own cash.
It's true, yeah, also very good, yeah, they can save some their investment money. What else? International trade. When we call it international, some key important things that haven't touched.
Exchange rate, money exchange.
Very good. Currency rate. We call currency rate. Currency rate. Why this is very important? Gosia would like to say more.
Because it changes every day, it fluctuates minute per minute, I think. So it will be very difficult to negotiate after the delivery is done.
Yes, very good. Think about that. The currency rate. What kind of currency rate like so far? If you watch your home country's currency rate, or Taiwan versus US dollars, we change over the day, and I guess maybe only mainland China can keep the standard and same currency rate. But most of the countries, the currency rate fluctuates every day, which means that if you deal right now, but your service or cargo is receiving 3 months, if they currency rate change a lot, you know you will make some lose, no matter the buyer or seller. So to avoid the conflict and avoid some like the argument, they all agree to you deal during the right now, then we just paying cash in advance, finish this deal. Okay, very good. One currency rate. We talk about international trade. What else? Another will be related to the RCEP, FTA. You know the gas. Another one will be related to this, or U.S. and mainland China trade war. When we talk about international trades, one issue is also very important. So they wish to cash in advance to finish this transaction as soon as possible. What will happen? We say the political. You know, like if you look at the U.S. and mainland China trade war history, some of my previous students, I asked them to do homework to draw the timeline for between the U.S. and the mainland China. You will find like the tariff and the custom and tax standard change over time. They are not quite standard. So if you cannot deliver right now, maybe next day, the tariff will increase. You have to pay more. So better to cash in advance to finish this transaction as soon as possible, rather than others. Very similar to RCEP. 2 weeks ago, maybe nobody knows RCEP will be organized very soon. But when RCEP suddenly organized, which means that the tariff and custom will be changed. So this will be the major reason they want to do a cash in advance. So one more reason is very similar to Eva's viewpoints is poor supply chain. We talk about push supply chain and poor supply chain. Anyone want to help us to remind someone who haven't taken my supply chain management course? What's the meaning for the poor? We have a midterm exam next week. Okay, maybe let me refresh your mind. What's the meaning of the push supply chain and the poor supply chain? You want to guess? Push and poor.
Make by order.
Let me give you more hints. Oops. Main difference is one would be make or produce, make in advance. We call make in stock. Another one would be make to order. What's the difference? Push. This is push. This is pull. Push means like I haven't received any order. I just produce in advance based on my historical transaction data. For example, like iPhone. iPhone never do the. iPhone is kind of pure push supply chain. They always produce their iPhone 11, 12 in advance, then start to sell. Because they have their historical data, they know how many of the number of the cell phone they produce can be sold out. Poor means like I receive the order, then I start to produce. What kind of example? Like the airport, like the aircraft, ocean, some like lots of service maybe receive then start to do the produce. What's the advantage for the push? Well, you don't need to. You can share. You can have a very soon to. You don't need to worry about the shortage. You don't need to worry about the back order. You can produce in advance. You can lower down your production cost because you produce a lot in advance. However, the drawback would be like if the sales is less than your prediction, which means you have lots of inventory problem. You cannot sell out, you have lots of cargoes, you have lots of products left. For the poor supply chain, advantage would be you don't need to worry about the inventory problem. You receive the order, you produce for that, almost zero inventory. What's the drawback?
By order.
You may not have enough time to, oh yes, please. Yes, you may not have time to quickly respond to the market demand. You know, like maybe lots of demand jump out, but you have no time to well prepare with that. Customer may not willing to wait, so poor supply chain will be the trouble. And this time we talk about poor supply chain. Poor supply chain, you receive the order, you start to produce, but similar to Eva's mentioned, like they need some money to do to procurement the raw materials, to hire some laborers to well prepare your assembly line or factory. So they still need to cash in advance. But basically we have the push and pull. Sometimes we do the hybrid. So right now most of the companies try to do the hybrid push and pull, which means like they produce the semi-products in some stage and do the customize in the final end. iPhone also do similar way, like if you order the iPhone or laptop or desktop or something, you can say I want to increase my memory disk. I increase something, they will customize your final end, assemble and final end. Okay, so two different. Remember we have a meeting exam on supply chain also next week. Okay, I'm a little worried about. Okay, anyway. One terms we talked about a little bit on before, but let me talk about more. We call it third-party logistics. This time when during our visiting tour, the second company mainly do a third party. Remember that they say they are the top 3 third-party company in Taiwan. And what kind of service they will try to, or why we need to rely on a third party? Third party means like the passenger transportation. very similar to the traveling agency. So maybe some people will argue with Eva, why we need to rely on the traveling agency? We can buy our ticket by our own self. We can do whatever by ourselves. But maybe Eva can say we have provide more better service. Lots of better service. So here is like the service will be the one major concern for the third-party logistics. And here are lots of reasons they think like why they need to rely on the third-party logistics, because they can have a better service and also better quality, and they can do lots of different value-added service. As we mentioned, like during our visit to our final third steps, you see like they do lots of for the car. They help to inspection the car, they help to clean the car, they even maintain the inventory if they cannot well sell out right now. So lots of reasons listed here why we need to third party, and different area have a different reasons, but actually just want to let you see that. Basically, we have several different kind of like a third party logistics. Some may be like a DHL, they also do the carrier things. They have their own fleet, they do a delivery, like DHL, they also do a third party. Some may be warehouse based, they have their own warehouse, they also do help to do this. Some may be nothing, they just provide the information. So, kind of different. And lots of the things the party can do, they do a domestic transportation, international warehousing, custom. Custom is also very important. Freight forward and reverse logistics, you can see lots of them. So I guess maybe for the traveling agency, they can also provide lots of like the different services. So very similar. And you see this statistic, I think it's fine. Lots of terms will be related to the international supply chain, and I just highlight here the words is very small, so you better go back home to zoom out. But basically, most of the third-party logistics company can help you to calculate all the costs, all the information you need. And it's not that easy to just do it by the one company. So they have their own specific. They can even help you to calculate. So for example, like here you see, like I said, even for the order fulfillment, we need to estimate how accuracy rate, how kind of per labor they can do. So they have lots of evaluation to see how efficiency for the supply chain management. But today I would like to share others. Two things I would like to share about it. When we talk about the information management in supply chain management, it's very important, especially